What are the best balance transfer cards for businesses that are out there today? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what everything you need to know if you're planning on getting a new credit card and then transferring a balance from an existing card to the new one. We're going to discuss the 5 best ones we found. And we've done a ton of research that are going to give you the best overall benefits, the best long-standing interest rate after the 0% intro period or the intro period. We'll talk about ones that have 0% intro periods. We'll talk about cards that have a longer 0% intro period. And we're going to talk about the kinds of stuff that you really need to think about if you're thinking about transferring a balance from one credit card to a business. Look, I see this all the time. People use personal credit cards to be able to build their business. Then they go to get business credit cards and they want to transfer the balances from those personal cards to business cards. Or some people get business cards, get higher limit, better business cards, want to transfer balances. There's a lot of reasons behind it, but if you're going to transfer balances from one credit card to another, there's things you just need to know, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about during today's training. So whether balance or transfer cards are a good idea really depends on a lot of factors, right? First of all, is it going to save you money? So it's one of the things we want to consider. Is it going to be cheaper for us to move our money from one card to the next? Do we have a lower interest rate? Do we have an intro period which makes it really appealing for us for a certain period of time, for example? Can we pay off our debt faster with this? If it is cheaper, so for example, if I take debt from a 22% credit card and move it to a 0% for 18 months credit card, and I could pay it off during that 0% period, well, that could help me pay off my debt a lot faster. So another reason people consider doing these. Will you handle the new credit responsibly? Something to think about. I mean, look, in a lot of cases, you're transferring balances because you did something, maybe could have done something better. I don't want to say did something wrong. Maybe you could have done something better. Maybe you never should have used personal credit cards to fund the business and you wouldn't have had to do the balance transfer, for example. Hey, look, sometimes you're just transferring a balance because you get a better credit card. But again, are you going to be able to handle the credit responsibly moving forward? And what can you learn from the need to transfer balances where you won't need to transfer those balances again? Now, it's also important to consider how you came to have a balance transfer or need one in the first place, right? Again, were you handling the credit irresponsibly? Is there things you could have done better? Were you using personal credit to fund a business when you really shouldn't have been? And that damaged your personal credit cards. Did you put too high a balance on an individual credit card that damaged your overall credit score? Because utilization is 30% of your credit score, and that's utilization across all of your accounts and on individual accounts. So maybe you, like a lot of us, use one main credit card and you let that balance get so high on the credit card instead of spreading the balances out that really increased your utilization on the one account and lowered your overall credit scores, for example. Or was it something else that maybe couldn't have been helped? Maybe you just got a better credit card and it made sense to transfer the balance. Well, again, that's going to determine if you need to do some work to keep the building up or for keeping up building a balance again, right? There are things that you want to think about there. So you got to look at the reason for the balance transfer and maybe make some corrections so you don't have a problem and potentially need to do this again. Not that it's bad when you do need to do it, but some things to keep in mind. Now, hey, if you don't mind, tell me where you're coming in from. I always like it when you say hello. Tell me what city and state, even country you're from, to let me give you a shout out. So please type in your information in the chat to say hello. Okay, so how to responsibly use balance transfer credit cards. Well, the key to successfully using these to help your business is to find the cards with the best transfer intro rates. It's the absolute rule number one you want to follow. We need to find the cards that give us the lowest intro rate to transfer the balance, to give us a chance to pay off that balance and be able to potentially lower our payments and help us pay off that debt faster. And we also need to look at transfer fees. Are there transfer fees? We want to eliminate fees from credit cards that are trying to charge us if we're going to transfer money from one credit card to another. You also want to know the ones with the introductory rates that last the longest. It's not enough that we get a 0% intro rate, for example. There's business cards that have 6 months intro rates and 18 months. big difference between those two, right? So we want to find the ones with the best intro rates, the lowest transfer fees, and the longest transfer period, giving us, or the lowest intro rate period, giving us that time to be able to pay low payments, to pay off that debt faster, and to make the use out of that actual transfer. And of course, you have to meet the requirements for approval. We got to find cards we can actually get approved for. Now, once you have the right card that you've got approved, well, then you can make the transfer. Now, here's the key. You're most likely going to have a temporary introductory rate on that transfer balance. So you got to pay off the balance before that intro rate. A lot of credit card companies catch us this way, okay? And I've got caught this way with Best Buy, where Best Buy says it's 0% interest if you pay off the computer within, let's say, 12 months. But the minute you go to 13 months, all of a sudden they charge you for all that interest because you didn't pay off the entire balance within that 12-month period. A lot of people don't even realize that's the way that it works. And this is why all credit cards and transfers are a little bit different, but you need to know that from the credit card company you're getting it from. So for example, if I'm going into Best Buy and they're saying, hey, if you want to buy this Apple computer, you can get the Best Buy credit card and you get 0% for 12 months. That's great. What happens after the 12 months? What if I've paid off 1,100 of the 1,200 on the computer, but I still owe 100? In a lot of cases, they will take the interest on the whole $1,200 and charge me right then and there because I still owe $100 and didn't pay off $100 of that balance within that period that I got the 0%. So you have to know this, because otherwise you can end up in the same position that you had looking for balance transfer in the first place. You moved all the money because of a 0% intro period. You didn't pay off the balance during that period, and now you accumulate all this interest in one charge. So the only way to find these cards, really the best ones, is just to do research. Now, in addition to the factors that we've already talked about, you got to determine how much you will have to pay monthly to pay off the transfer balance before the promotional rate expires. The key to transferring a balance for the main purpose of transferring it to a low or 0% introductory APR card is we've got to pay off the transfer balance before time expires, where they charge us all of that interest. So we've got to make sure that we are paying enough monthly to get that done. If not, we're back in the same boat. We just got to get charged all that interest, and now that gets added to the card, and we're kind of where we were before we did the balance transfer to begin with. Now, if you find a number of cards with these 0% rates, well, then you simply choose the one that has a 0% promo rate for the longest period of time. However, it may not be so easy. You got to consider, for example, the following scenario. Imagine you have a card that offers 0% promo balance for 6 months, along with a card that has a 1.5% promotional rate for 14 months. Well, if you transfer a $20,000 balance, you're going to have to pay over $3,000 a month for the 6 months on the 0% to pay off that balance with no interest. But on the 1.5% card, you could pay less than $1,500 per month for the 14 months and get the balance paid off before the introductory rate expires. This is what you have to look at here. Is a 0% card for 6 months better than a 1.5% card for 14 months? You determine that based on what your balance is and how long you need to pay that balance off before all that interest actually accumulates. Now, of course, if you have the cash flow to comfortably pay over $3,000, well, then that might be the better way to go, right? I mean, you've got the 0% rate. However, you can still pay that amount on the other card, and you have the option to pay less without getting off track if you need to. So my dad raised me this way. My dad's in financial services. No surprise. I've spent my life here as well. And what he always said is, hey, look, you always want to get the longest period of time you can ever get to pay something back. And then you can always pay it off early if you need to. But if times get tight and you need to condense your spending, well, you're not obligated to make this high payment because you got too short of a term. So it's the same thing here, is that, you want to be able to give yourself payments you can really afford to make, to be able to get it paid off with the time period you have before that interest actually accrues. Now, only you can make the decision on which of these type of scenarios would work better for you. But again, it's kind of a good example of why 0% might not always be your best option. It's also a good example of why you can't just look at 0% versus 1.5% for balance transfers. You have to look at How much is it? 0% or 1.5%? How long is that intro period? Can you pay off your balance within that intro period? If you don't, what happens? Does all the interest get charged to you? What's the interest rate on the card after the intro rate period expires? All these things you really have to take into consideration to find the right card for you. And Sir says, hey, do you have a source for a virtual address? You can go to creditsuite.com/virtual for a discounted link for our source. It's creditsuite.com/virtual. And there you will find a link to Alliance. Alliance is the one that we recommend for virtual address or for virtual offices. You can also look at Regis or DaVinci, but we found Alliance to be the best. And Vaughn, thanks for coming in from Montgomery, Alabama. St. Augustine, Florida. Inez is in the house. LaShawn, hello from Dallas, Texas, my favorite state. Thanks for coming in. And thanks for saying hello. If you don't mind, if you're just getting here, hit the like button if you're getting value and tell us where you're from. I always like to give you a shout out. So let's talk about the top cards we found, the top 5. We did a lot of this research for you and found 5 of the best of these 0% cards. Remember, a lot of factors we talked about, you've got to take into consideration to determine which one of these works best for you. But one of our top 5 is the Mechanics Bank Visa. Now, this has no annual fee, 0% APR on balance transfers for the first 20 billing cycles. That's basically like 20 months. And then it increases to 11.99 to 20% based on your credit risk. So about 12 to 20% after that, let's say 20 month, but it's really 20 billing cycles expires. And there's a 3% balance transfer fee or $5, whichever is more. So whatever you're transferring, there is a 3% fee or $5. If you're transferring a larger amount, 3% more than likely is going to be the greater of the two. So good things about this, 0% for 20 months. That's pretty good. That's really good. Most of these I found are about 18 months at max. So this is about the longest period of time with the 0% intro fee you're going to pay. And hey, you can't beat you can't beat no annual fee. And 11.99 to 20, those are really good interest rates for business credit cards. The only negative really here is there is a 3% balance transfer fee. So depending on how much you're transferring, that could add up. Okay, the PNC Visa Business Credit Card. Now, you earn 5 points for every dollar you spend on qualifying purchases. Let's talk about this for a second. Look, if you're not using credit cards to pay for everything in your business, then paying off those credit cards, you really have to try to ask yourself why you're doing that. In my life, I use my consumer credit card to pay all of my bills, and then I pay it off before interest accrues. I do that because I get points, because I get dollars back. So I get cash back just by paying my normal bills. And depending on the credit card that you use, you might want that to be travel points, hotel points, airline points, where you can then, I have friends that do this and take multiple vacations a year at no cost just because their normal spending they get points for, they cash in those points for travel rewards such as hotel and airlines. Same thing in business. If I'm going to spend $100,000 on Facebook ads this month, then I can spend $100,000 out of my bank account because I have the money to do so, or I can spend it on my Amex card. The Amex card gets reported to Dun & Bradstreet. Now, other lenders and credit issuers can see I'm spending that 100 G's a month. Now, they're more inclined to give me higher approvals. The credit bureau's recommendation for how high I be lent and issued goes up, all of which helps me. And I'm getting points on this credit card to begin with. I'm getting points for my normal spending. So it's benefit, 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 as long as I pay off that credit card before I accrue interest. So if you're responsible with that or have somebody in the accounting inside of your business that is, it just makes sense to spend money on credit cards and pay them off before interest accrues because of all of those benefits that we talked about. Now, the 0% APR is for 9 billing cycles, way different than what we talked about here with Mechanics with the 20. I mean, literally, Mechanics is twice as long that you get the 0% for, and that's if the balance is transferred within the first 90 days of getting the card. Again, no annual fee on this card as well. So obviously, benefit, no annual fee. Also, the benefit is you get 5 points for every dollar you spend, so you can really earn some points on this. The negative is you're only getting 0% for 9 cycles of billing, or about 9 months versus 20 with Mechanics. Synovus Business Travel Rewards, 0% APR for only 6 months, and the offer extends to purchases as well, and there's no annual fee as well. So again, what I really like about this is that you can get the 0% on purchases as well. And again, no annual fee, which makes this really a very good one to consider as well. Tommy from Hoover, Alabama coming in. New York City. Julius, thanks for coming in and saying hello. Here's that source for virtual addresses. Who was it that asked? So, sir, you asked about that. I just pulled up the link on the actual website or on the stream so you can see where to go for virtual addresses. Okay, and Brilliant Davis, thanks for tuning in from Tucson, Alabama. I always love it when you come in and say hello. So thanks for coming in. Okay, now the Busey Bank Platinum Card. This card has no annual fee, 0% intro for 20 billing cycles, the same as Mechanics. And after that, the rate increases from 13.5% to 23% based on credit worthiness. So again, like I said, I like that Mechanics the best because you get 0% for 20 billing cycles, but you're also getting a lower rate, about 12% to 20, which could be 2 or 3% better than what you're finding here on the Busey Bank Platinum Card. And again, it's going to vary your interest rate based on whatever the prime interest rate is. The Bremer Bank Platinum Card. Now, this is similar benefits to Busey. 0% intro rate for 20 billing cycles, 13.5% to 23.5% interest. Very similar to what Busey is as well, depending on your credit worthiness when you open the account. So there's two of them that are pretty good. If you like these 20-month long cycles of 0%. We've talked about Mechanics. We've talked about Bremer. We've talked about Busey. We've talked about three of them, two of which, or three of which you might not even have heard of. You might not have heard of Mechanics, Bremer, or Busey before. And these are three of the best we found that have the longest period of time that you're actually getting that 0%. Now, a word of warning, you may have noticed the cards have a balance transfer fee in some cases. So if there is a 3% balance transfer fee and you transfer $5,000, that's $150. So you got to think about that 3% transfer fee. It's something you have to keep in mind. May not seem like a lot, but if you don't pay off the balance before the 0% ends, then you can end up transferring the balance to yet another card, right? All that interest accrues, and then you got a 3% transfer fee. So it's a negative if you do it that way. I can't tell you enough. If you're going to do a balance transfer, you really, really, really have to make sure that you are ready to pay off that whole balance you're transferring before interest is accrued. Otherwise, it can hurt you, not help you. Another thing to consider is that many cards will not let you transfer a balance that meets your limit. So they will have a separate limit for balance transfers. So for example, if your credit limit is $2,000, your balance transfer limit may only be $1,800. If you have more than that to transfer, things can get complicated. So I might have a $10,000 limit credit card, but they might only let me transfer $5,000 onto that card. So word of warning, right? You got to look out for that when you're choosing the best card to go move to. You may have to be able to transfer the balance to multiple 0% cards in that kind of scenario, reducing the amount of interest you pay, but also consider the means. There may be more payments that you have to manage there. So some things to keep in mind. So are balance transfer credit cards right for your business? Well, they could be a powerful financial tool if you're wielding them carefully, right? If not, as we've talked about, you can actually do harm, especially if you're not paying off the balance you're transferring within that intro period time. Now, another option that may help you is a program we have called Credit Line Hybrid. And with Credit Line Hybrid, we're getting you about 5 to 8 of these 0% intro accounts. And the nice thing is a lot of them have 0% for up to 18 months. And it's no doc. You don't need to provide any kind of income documentation. And a lot of them report to the business credit reporting agencies. So you're actually building your business credit while you're actually using these cards. You need a 680, 700 type of credit score for approval, but you can use a guarantor as well. So if your credit's not good, 50% of our clients are using family member, friend, potential investors, others in their circle to sign as a guarantor. You could do that and you can get approved for up to $150,000 with this. So if you want to get the best balance transfer cards, the best 0% rates for the longest period that give you rewards, points, and even help you build business credit, well, give us a call. We'll gladly talk to you about Credit Line Hybrid. It could be a perfect fit for you. So 0% transfers could be very powerful. We've got to think here about how long the intro period is for. What kind of fee is involved to transfer those balances? What's the interest rate after that period actually expires? And can we make the monthly payments to pay off the balance we're transferring before all the interest accrues? If we're not, we could actually hurt ourselves here. So some things to keep in mind. The next time we meet, we're going to talk about office space, virtual addresses. As a matter of fact, I thought we were going to talk about that today, but we're going to talk about it next time we actually meet. So when that question was asked earlier, we are going to be diving into that exact topic next time we meet, which will be next week. And L Light says, Big Ty still at it. Keep at it, bro. Hey, thanks for tuning in here, buddy. And Nicholas Keith from Orlando's coming in. And Willie says, I got Fulton Bank Business 18-month transfer, no interest to 2023. So good to see, man. Good job, Willie, on that. And just one example of what's possible when you get these kind of accounts. So if you'd like to talk to us more, feel free to give us a call for a free consultation. There's 3 things that happen on that consult. We do a fundability check to figure out what's wrong with your fundability that lenders don't like and what to fix so you can actually get approved for funding. And we help you get your business credit reports at no cost. We'll even go over those with you, give you tips and tactics to build your business credit. And we qualify you for financing as well. We tell you all the loans and credit lines that you can qualify for. If you want to get that consultation, simply give us a call at 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. Or go online at creditsuite.com/consult. If you got value from this, hit that like button, hit the love button, and share. So together we can help more entrepreneurs succeed. And don't forget, at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com, you can subscribe on all of our social channels. We have daily tips on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We have thousands of videos on our YouTube channel. We have 1-minute tips on TikTok and on our Insta stories as well. We even have a podcast where you can listen on the go. All of that's available in one place, the top right of our page of our main website, creditsuite.com. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get money to start and grow your business. Take care. Have a great day.